Hello, my name is Alasia, also known as Ali. I'm a certified drug and alcohol counselor, and today I wanted to talk about how to connect with all of your clients in your group counseling session. This is it's a skill. Some people have it more naturally than others, but this is really what makes or breaks a group. A lot of people think that connecting with clients is by trauma bonding. That's a huge problem in this field, particularly because there's a lot of shame and a lot of internalized rejection that comes with being in addiction recovery because of the lack of understanding for people who haven't been through it or people who haven't been close to it. Even people who have been close to it or work in the field or addiction medicine doctors or therapists don't really understand it. Like that there's this huge lack of understanding. So, of course, there's internalized rejection because there's also a lot of stigma around addiction, but there's also this just internalized idea of like people don't understand me. So if I get in a room with someone who I think understands me, who's actually either been through the exact same thing as me or knows someone who's been through it and I can tell, the trauma bonding happens because people get to talking about personal stories and experiences and saying, yeah, when I went through that exact same thing, this happened. So there's a lot of trauma bonding. That is not connecting with clients. I think in this field in particular, there is a lot more self disclosure and it's more acceptable. A lot of times it can go too far because it can turn into trauma bonding and just crossing boundaries that shouldn't be crossed with clients. But at the same time, I do think it is wonderful and I feel grateful to be in a field where there's not so much judgment and you can have real conversations and thus deeper connections with people. So, going back to my point about how the connection in the group is the most powerful part, is because you could be super knowledgeable or you could be someone who is trying to trauma bond and tell your story and still not being able to connect. Another issue that I know happens a lot in this field is people will tell a lot of their personal stories in order to carry a group. And that's not what's important. That makes people zone out, go into another world because it's just kind of like, someone telling their story and we're just listening in on story time, and that's not even a group anyway. So how to connect well in a group is it actually starts outside of the group room. It starts with really feeling self-confident in yourself, because a lot of people struggle to really have those deep connections in group, those really authentic human connections, due to a lack of social skills. And a lot of times social skills are inhibited by a lack of self-confidence because you have less experience socializing usually when you lack self-confidence, because you tend to maybe avoid social situations, you don't introduce yourself to people, and because of that self-consciousness. But when you have good self-confidence and a really healthy a sense of self-esteem, you're used to connecting with people in many different contexts. And I'm not saying that group counseling is the same as talking to a cashier, is the same as talking to someone at a coffee shop or in line. It's not, but humans are humans, and you shouldn't really treat your clients any different on the human level. Now, in terms of what you talk about, maybe how you talk about it, that's different, but this is still a human. And so a lot of people just they need to be real, not too real in terms of you being inappropriate, but real in terms of talk to people how you would talk to anyone else. But if you lack those social skills, that's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult to translate social skills that you don't have into this group context. You're going to feel out of place and it's going to feel a little bit awkward. Even if you're a nice person, there's something about that real human connection, person to person, that makes a group so powerful. No matter what is said in there, in terms of like no matter what education you give, no matter what people share in there, what makes the group is that connection. So that's number one. That's how to connect with people, is working on your self-confidence and your social skills outside of the group room. The second thing is really getting to know people. When you are engaging with the people in the group, be genuinely interested in them. I'm not going to tell you exact questions to ask because you shouldn't be scripted in any sense. A lot of counselors are and this is a good thing, in an effort to keep the group going, in an effort to do a good job, they are so focused on their response. What are they saying to the person? But the thing about group is there's a lot of wisdom in the group, and the thing that makes it the most powerful again is that human connection, the connection with their peers, the connection with you, and that shared healing space, and the freedom and the peace, and that comes with that healing space. And so when you're asking someone a question, say the topic is grief. Grief is a very heavy topic that I like to revisit because it is so important. Grief is something that turns people's life upside down, and they have a very difficult time moving through it. On the other hand, too, a lot of people need to grieve things in their life in order for them to move forward. So grief is a topic that I come back to a lot. And in a topic like grief, so say you have some sort of opening question or main question that you guys are discussing, such as things that you're grieving now, things that you need to grieve. When people are sharing their response, you don't have to get so philosophical or so technical and therapeutic and rigid. What you really need to do is sit down, sink into the moment, be fully present, and listen to what they're saying and ask them about, be genuinely interested in what you're interested in. And that's why I don't want to give question examples, because as you're hearing the person talk, now of course make sure you're staying on topic. I veer off here and there, but it's just to have conversation, not because I'm getting distracted. But whatever they're sharing, really listen to that. Let it sink in before you're trying to think of what you need to say as a counselor, and ask them more about it. And that can lead to discussion from other group members chiming in, asking questions. But also, it can help keep the group going in a way where you can think about something else that someone shared earlier and ask for their perspective on it, referencing something that they said, and, having the group to be connected. And that's why it's so important to be present, not be focused on what your response is, and being genuinely interested in people, because people can feel when you're genuinely interested in them. It's not something you can teach someone how to be genuinely interested. Either you are or you're not. And I'm just telling you, people can see right through it. They can see when you care about them. That's not something you could fake or, pretend like you care. Like, people, it's caring, feeling cared for. It's something that you feel. And so you can be very genuine, authentic, and present without being unprofessional, without crossing boundaries, without trauma bonding and letting the group talk about crazy stuff. Like, keep it focused, but also sink into the moment. I don't want to say relax as in sit back and let the group run. I've heard even licensed therapists say that, oh, the group just runs itself. That's crazy. That is insane. What happens when a group runs itself is that people are chit-chattering about any and everything. They may be talking over each other, getting totally off track. That is a terrible group to sit in, and that is very, very lazy. You do not let the group just run itself. At the same time, you don't have to strong arm the group in terms of making it go where you want to go. There's this balance that you have to find, and a lot of times it depends on who's in the group. One person can throw off an entire group. Trust me, I know. Sometimes it's really bad. It's such bad in terms of it's such a distraction, one person. But at the same time, you'll have some groups that are more melded together and more cohesive. You might have groups that are, maybe they are more reserved. So there's different groups, group dynamics depending on who's in there. It's kind of depending on the mix, it depends on how the group goes. And so these are two really, really important things. So number one, again, you really need to be completely interested in what people actually have to say. Be completely present in that group, and don't try so hard to say the right thing. It's important too to have moments of just breathing. You don't have to fill up so much time and space. One thing I like to do, which this doesn't happen too often, at least in my groups, but when it does get to be a little quiet, or people are seeming more reserved or more tired, I'll just talk about it. I'm not going to force people to make my job easier or force them to present in a way that's feeling inauthentic for them. or just like uncomfortable for them in the moment, but I'll kind of acknowledge what's in the room. I'll say something like, not just to say something, but respond to like whatever's going on in the situation, and saying something like, dang, you guys are real tired today. Like, what you guys been up to? Like, why are you so tired today? Oh, just a long day. Yeah, it is a long day. And just being human in that moment, not to force them back into what I want them to do, but just to also be sensitive and respectful of where their energy's at. And I think a lot of counselors, they, in an effort to make their job easier, they really lack empathy. They don't take those moments to do a temperature check in the room. They don't take those moments to respond to who is actually in the room, because a lot of times this happens to me constantly, and I'm able to do it very with ease now because I'm have more experience. But depending on who's in the group, I'll totally change the plan. I'll change the plan because not every plan is going to work for every group. That's why it's good to have backup plans, but also be able to shift what you're doing to match who's in the room. It's so important, again, just being self-confident in yourself. It has nothing to do with running a perfect group. It has everything to be with feeling self-assured, so that when you're interacting with the people, there's no barriers with you feeling self-conscious, because you're a confident person. Whatever is blocking your confidence, you need to work on that. And just really be present in the moment and being empathetic and caring truly about people because they can feel it. All right, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment. You could also send me an email at maketreatmentbetter@gmail.com. Bye.